now cross live to South Africa, that's Cape Town, South Africa, where the South Africa and Nigeria Binational Commission is taking place. President Cyril Ramaphosa is currently speaking. Let's listen in.
Volatile environment globally, we are witnessing the erosion of the principles that underpin the peaceful conduct of relations amongst nations with respect to law and order and the development of our societies. Multilateralism is under threat. The rise of impunity, unilateralism, conflict and war highlights the urgent need for the reform of the United Nations Security Council and other global institutions. The Global South needs to lead efforts to achieve an international system that is fair, is inclusive, and a system that in the end reflects what will advance the interests of people around the world. We commend your work as chair of ECOWAS to promote dialogue, mediation, and conflict resolution in the pursuit of peace. We applaud Nigeria's unwavering support to regional and continental unity. Our regional body, the Southern African Development Community, SADC, has been working to address challenges in our own neighborhood. We are seized with situations in the Eastern DRC and the post-elections developments in Mozambique. There is agreement that these challenges will be resolved through peaceful means. We are witnessing progress in the consolidation of democracy on our continent. This year alone, 19 major elections would have taken place in African countries. That in itself represents tremendous progress. It is important that regional and African Union instruments underpinning elections and governance are promoted and strengthened. South Africa has just assumed, as you well know, Your Excellency, the presidency of the G20. It will be the very first time that G20 members, leaders, will be holding their summit for the first time on African soil. We will place Africa's development, as well as the challenges facing countries of the Global South, firmly on the agenda of the G20. We will seek to galvanize support for the AU's Agenda 2063 as we pursue an inclusive global agenda as well. For South Africa, it is our view that in shaping global discourse, programs should be tailored to ensure that in our societies no one is left behind. The challenge of inequality, of poverty, and unemployment also needs to be addressed frontally. Our premier continental organization, the African Union, will be having a change of leadership in its commission. As we approach the elections of the chairperson, the deputy chairperson, and commissioners at our summit early in the new year, we should emphasize the need for cohesion, unity, as well as a sense of purpose. The Commission to rededicate itself to addressing the development needs of our people as reflected in our continental programs must be reinvigorated. Once again, Mr. President, we are pleased and indeed very, very honored to have you here in our country at the southernmost tip of our beloved African continent, for you and I to co-chair the session of the Binational Commission. We look forward to receiving the reports from our ministers as our countries continue to strengthen cooperation. Our strong foundations of mutual respect, of trust, as well as collaboration must continue to endure. Together, we must work to position our continent as the continent of the future and to realize the vision that was crafted by our forebears, that of a free, independent, stable, and peaceful Africa. This is what we need to continue committing ourselves to, so that we achieve the dream that the founding fathers of the African Union had in mind when they formed the OAU, which is now the African Union. Your Excellency, I thank you for being here. For us as South Africa, it is a real joy to have you and your delegation from Nigeria here in Cape Town today. Thank you very much for coming.
Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers and Head of Departments, the High Commissioner of South Africa to Nigeria, and the Acting High Commissioner of Nigeria to South Africa, senior officials of both African and Nigerian governments, members of the Chambers of Commerce, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I bring to you a fraternal greetings from the people and government of Federal Republic of Nigeria. I am pleased to participate in the Nigerian South African Binational Commission, BNC, for the first time. May this edition of BNC be both productive and resourceful and historic. My love for this event is born of the storied and proud history of Nigeria, South African relationship, which has since been very strong since the end of apartheid and the birth of true democracy in this great country. Nigeria's contribution to that epic struggle represent noble and outstanding moments in our foreign policy and the history of our continent. The evolution role as a leading nation in this continent, we believe in democracy, freedom, and equity. You have achieved this as our sister country. You deserve the freedom and justice, not the discrimination and suppression to which that terrible subject had been. Nigerians from all walks of life are mobilized in unison. I'm very happy to share with you the joy of freedom and democracy. It was for us historic responsibility that we discharged with pride and determination. As was expected, our effort put Nigeria on collision course with some powerful countries. But nevertheless, we were proud to be our brother's keeper and that South Africa is our serious brother in such a critical time. This is the essence of brotherhood. We seek for this continent to stay side by side for the liberation, non-discrimination, for democratic good governance in support of best and legitimate aspirations of the people. Just as we stood with you, we shall always bear in remembrance how South Africa was with us at critical moment of our struggle against military regime. I say thank you once again. At my inauguration as president, my dear brother, you are one of the first to show great support and be our guest at my inauguration ceremony. Once again, I say thank you very much. I'm equally pleased to have been part of the historic event at your inauguration after your re-election as president. I also recall that you took time out of your busy schedule to have meaningful discussion with me in collaboration to advance the development of Africa. Our discussion that day and our deliberations today due to honor a tradition established between our two nations. A successful government on both sides have accorded due to recognition to our shared history of collaboration and cooperation. We must ensure that the spirit of the collaboration and cooperation between our two leading countries in Africa will intensify and deepen under our leadership of our respective nations. This is not a matter of choice, but of destiny that includes an historical responsibility that we hold the African people. The BNC has been in existence since 1999, with some 3 dozen MOU and agreement already in operation. The BNC has really come of age. But I must, however, sound a note of caution here. Let us not count on successes by number of MOUs and agreements signed. They will be mere papers until we implement them in spirit and in letter. The job of our senior officials will only achieve the desired goal if we did very well in implementation. I'm pleased to note that this framework has achieved a lot. My desire is that we will accelerate the aspect that relates to youth development. Beyond natural resources, our most precious resource is the large and useful population that exists in both our countries. These young people represent the future. They are the demography that must be tended, invested in, and have their skill and potential harvested for development and the goals of the continent. My administration have built an inclusive government in which young people are now in charge of some of the key sectors of the economy. Believing the future for them must start now. Let us connect Nigerian youth and the South African youth and leverage their potential for development. Many South African companies such as MTN, MultiChoice, had found their way into Nigerian market, while Dangote, Access Bank, and others financial institutions have also entered the South African market. But that's not enough. I cannot pretend that all this gone perfectly well. I ever believe we can identify the gaps and challenges, including persistent irritation in relations, and deal with them appropriately. To me, this is the real essence of BNC. Together, we can act as engines of economic integration, development in our perspective, sub-regions, as well as on the continent. We also have a strong role to play in the successful implementation of the free trade areas. The continent looks up to us, and we cannot afford to fail them. We need to leverage the potential of the partnership to strengthen economic, political, business, and other areas of political collaboration. Our success will change the negative narrative of seeing Africa as a continent marred by poverty, conflict, without leaders to over the kind of transformation, reform the continent deserves. You and I will not let that go away. As the adage goes, the glory of the eagle does not please the kite. Let us remain mindful of the overt and covert hostilities that the success of our partnership will attract. If we are vigilant, committed, and persistent, we will surely soar like the eagles over the reach of predators. So we must remain strongly united on purpose. Mr. President, one thing I would like this edition of the BNC to explore is the possible need to establish an anti-illegal mining group in the African nations. Our natural resources are supposed to be mined for betterment of our people. However, this seems to be frightening to a concerted effort flowing in the opposite direction. Throughout Africa, illegal mining is not only robbing our nations of precious income, which could foster development. Sponsored by powerful outside forces, such mining is fomenting strife, servitude, poverty, environmental degradation, and undermining the reach of legitimacy in governance. We cannot allow this inland piracy to become a scourge to our good and healthy design for our people. South Africa and Nigeria should and must take the lead to placing this issue before the global community and resolving it for the good of African continent and its people. Nigeria would like to join South Africa and the African Union in the G20. Congratulations, my friend. You are now the president of G20 group of nations. As South Africa assumes the presidency, we urge that the position be leveraged for the development of our continent. This high-level strategic partnership between South Africa and us must become a model of leadership and shared vision that will inspire and take our people into a brighter and greater future of prosperity and development in Africa. That is what we want. That's what we are here to pledge. I thank you for listening.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, President Tinubu.